Welcome everyone. Welcome to the very short notice webinar. Appreciate you guys joining. Today we're going to be talking about the association information statements and how P&Cs can meet their DMIRS obligations. Debbie Booth, who's our Finance Officer and Training and Development Officer, Karen Izzard, who is our Corporate Support Officer, and myself, the Executive Officer, will be presenting for you today. In the chat, maybe tell us your first and last name and which P&C you're from today. But WAXO, we are your peak body and where you go to whenever you have a question related to anything P&C. There have been so many regulatory and other changes in the last 12 to 18 months that it might seem a little bit overwhelming. So we're here today to demystify some of those and make it easy for you to comply with your obligations. And Deb and Karen are going to continue letting people into the chat, letting people into the webinar as we go through. So let's get cracking. So this year and every year, in all incorporated associations in WA are required to complete an association's information statement for the Department of Mining, Industry Regulations and Safety, DMIRS, via the association's online portal. DMIRS is currently targeting any incorporated association that has not submitted one or more association's information statements. Now, the consequences to this is potentially a loss of incorporation and a loss of your assets. The Education Act requires P&Cs to be incorporated, so not complying means that your P&C will close and your assets will be redistributed. The deadline for this is the 12th of August, which, yes, is Monday week. DMIRS will commence the process of dissolving any P&Cs who have not done so before, done the above by that deadline. So if you've been invited to this webinar, it means that your P&C doesn't comply at the moment and is at risk of being dissolved, and that you must take action this week. However, never fear, because we're going to walk you all the way through it. So, and we are chatting with DMIRS at the moment to make sure that that doesn't happen for any of our P&Cs. So typically, if you're registered with the ACNC, you should not need to do this exercise, but from time to time, there's an issue between the ACNC and the DMIRS systems talking to each other. So it might be that your legal name doesn't match in both systems. Perhaps it's that your AGM date wasn't compliant, or you may not have your association's number on your ACNC profile. But if you've been invited to this webinar and you are registered with the ACNC, it means that something's gone awry in that connection. And if that's your P&C, we strongly recommend that you still stay on the line and that you just submit this annual information statement, this association's information statement to DMIRS to ensure that you're not caught up in this net, their current project to dissolve associations that are not compliant. It'll only take 5 minutes once you get things organised, and that would just means that nobody's going to follow up, and you can move forward. So yes, 12th of August is a week today. That does sound very scary, but don't worry, we're here to break it down for you and make that process as smooth as possible. Hopefully you have access to a computer or laptop while you're on this webinar. One of us will be happy to stay on the line as long as you need if it's taking a little bit longer. You'll also have access to this recording, so you can complete this tonight if you run into any issues. But today we're going to be registering you personally with associations online. We're going to be linking that personal profile to your P&C. We're going to walk you through an AIS lodgement, and you can ask any questions along the way that you might be stuck on. Are my slides keeping up?
I think you need to click one forward.
Are we on step one?
Yep.
Okay, Debbie's going to paste this link in the chat for you to click through. But if you're watching this on the recording, the address is associations.commerce.wa/associations/public/homepage.jspx. So we're going to take 2 minutes now and let you create an association's online account if you don't already have one, which is probably quite likely. So go ahead and click on the link that Debbie's just pasted into the chat and start your registration. if you've already got an Associations Online profile, you can go ahead and log in and just wait for the next step. But for those of you who don't, please go ahead and register, and feel free to shout if you've got any questions or difficulty at any time with this step. So again, you're going to register with a personal email address because this profile is your personal Associations Online profile. And it might be used for multiple associations that you're associated with. So use your personal email address, your home address, and your phone number, your personal phone number. And this Associations Online profile will be associated with you, not the P&C. So, for example, if you're on the board of your local bowls club or your local women's shed or your men's shed, or plus your P&C, you'll have one Associations Online profile, and that will be used to manage all of the associations that you are responsible for or you have obligations for. As you're doing this profile, you'll need to take note of the password that you use because you'll need that to log back in the next step. And they also ask from memory for like a quirky password type identifier. Just pick a random word, excuse me, a random word that you need to remember and note that down too. And once you complete your profile, you'll need to head over to your personal email. So if it's your Gmail that you've used, you'll need to head over to the Gmail, confirm that profile, and then pop back and confirm the registration. So again, fill out your personal profile, then head over to your Gmail or wherever you've sent it to, hit a confirmation email, and then come back and log back into your profile. I'm going to give you 30 seconds now to complete this step. And can you just pop done in the chat when you're done, or if you've already completed it, that would be good. And then we'll know when to move on to the next slide.
Michelle, John's just asked if he needs to stay in because he's received information to say that it's been received. So that's great news too.
The entire statement's been received?
Yes, it said yes.
Fabulous.
Got an email confirming it. So
no,
I've
you
said
absolutely
to him
don't need to stay on.
Yep.
And you're welcome to catch up on if you've got future ones or you've got a backlog of them to get through. You're welcome because you will have to. Karen, how many years needs to be done? So if you only had one outstanding, John, that's fine. You might need to rinse and repeat if you have a few outstanding. But you're welcome to hop off the webinar if you've completed yours. Thanks, John. Bye.
Anyone, they did the backlog. Yay.
Yeah, awesome. Great job, John. Thank you. So we're just waiting. I'll wait for you guys to say done in the chat. I'll wait for at least one person to say that they've completed their profile and come back again.
They may be all registered because I haven't received any emails requesting.
You haven't shown anything come up on your
no. I get an email to say that someone has requested,
yep.
and I haven't received any yet.
Thanks for joining us, Melissa. We're just popping onto Associations Online, and we are creating a personal profile on Associations Online to help us with the next step. I'm going to keep going, just making the assumption that everyone
Michelle,
has created
can I just
a profile.
Jump in for a sec?
Yeah, go for it.
Karen, perhaps you can explain that you're also a nominee on their accounts, just so that you can assist if people have trouble.
Yep, we've got that in the next.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yep. So I'm going to assume that you have created your personal profile, and I'll move on to the next slide. This is the confirmation. So you've set up your personal profile in Associations Online. You've gone to your, I'm just going to assume it's Gmail. You've gone to your Gmail. There should be a lovely personal email in there in your personal account to confirm your registration. You'll need to click on that link, which will take you back to the Associations Online portal, and then you'll log in using your email address and your password. So click the login button if you haven't already. So the next step, you've created your personal profile on Associations Online. Now we have to take your P&C and associate it with you so that it knows that there's obligations that you have to that P&C, which will allow us to take the next step. So you should be seeing something like this on your screen, which is a welcome screen for associations online. You're going to click the button on the bottom right, which says link to an association. So go ahead and click on that button now, which says link to an association. Now you just need to search for your P&C in the search bar. So it's pretty smart search capability. So you can just pop the name of your school in and your P&C should pop up in the search results. I've used Bayswater Primary School as an example here. That's my local school. So you can see that it pops up the full legal name of your P&C from that search. So just pop in the name of your school or the name of your P&C and that should allow it to populate. Once it does, just go ahead and click on the name of your P&C in those search results. So just click straight into the name of the P&C. I'll give you another 10 seconds to do that search and click.
Bill, if you've got a question, perhaps put it in the chat.
I think we've got a couple of questions that will come through. Just let me know when those questions come through, Debs. I'll keep tracking on. So you're going to, once you've gone ahead and searched and then you clicked on your P&C, you're going to assign the role type that you would like for this P&C. So I want you to go ahead and choose authorised user against your P&C. You'll need to accept the check box for the declaration and choose the go button on the bottom right. With the full knowledge and blessing of DMIRS, WAXO always retains a primary user role for your P&C and associations online. That helps with the continuity and support for your P&C as you have office bearers that turn over. We've always got somebody there that's available to log into your profile and assist with things. At the moment, it's Karen Izzard's name, who's always one of your primary users. Karen's our corporate support officer and she will help you out with all of your DMIRS related questions. So you will see that profile listed in against your P&C as Karen Izzard, WAXO representative. So once you hit go, can you please post in the chat, because Karen is in the back end approving your profile requests. So once you hit go, can you please pop in the chat that you've done that? So we've got some people stuck on the search. Is your school not coming up, Nassim? That should be any association registered with DMIRS, right, Karen? So it'll be all P&Cs that'll be listed there. Do I search on earner bar?
You'd use the name of your school.
You search the search bar though. So you're going into link to an association. I've just gone back 2 slides so you can see that, Nassim. So you click on link to an association. Then you click on that search bar. You scroll down a little bit and there's a search bar down there. I've got that circled. And then once the search results come up, then you click on your school down below. I'm going to keep tracking on because we may have some people that we need to help individually, externally, but Nassim, hopefully you can continue to follow along and we're around at the conclusion of this webinar to help anything specific. So as I said, you will need to go ahead and choose authorized user for yourself and then continue on from that. And Karen's on the back end now live approving those connections. So once you have done that, you'll see a success dialog box and oh, that's a picture of Karen in the back end. on the computer. So you'll see a success dialog box, and then this is what Karen sees on the back end on the right. So she will see that there's a user waiting there for her to approve, and she will go ahead and approve your connection between your personal profile and your P&C. So Karen has over 650 P&Cs that she helps to administer. So pop your P&C and your name in the chat when you've hit this step, and Karen will go through those live as they come through. They can take a few minutes to populate on Karen's end, so be patient, please. So we will follow up if needs be, and you can follow up with us as well. But we're going to keep tracking along with the presentation now to show you how to lodge the actual AIS. So if you've still not been approved and you still need help to complete your AIS, come back to the recording tonight and at this point to help you with the questions. But I'm going to move a little bit more briskly so that you can track along with this recording. So again, you're going to get another email to your Gmail or your personal account, and that will tell you that it's been successful and that you are linked. So you created your personal profile. You have now linked your P&C to your personal profile. We are now ready to lodge your annual your association's information statement. So if you've done all of that, this is the part of the webinar that you'll come back to then plug through the next few questions and understand what they're asking. So we're on to step 3. Most likely when you log into your association's online portal now, you will see this big rusty red banner that says you have annual information statements to complete. You can just click Lodge Now. There's a little Lodge Now button in that banner, so you can click on that. Alternatively, if you don't see that big red banner, you'll want to choose the button that says Start a New Application, which I've circled on this slide. But no matter which path you take to get there, we'll all end up on the same page, which I'll show you in the next slide. Hopefully you only have one AIS to complete, but it's possible you might have a few if it's not been done in recent years. If you do need to complete all of the outstanding statements, you do need to complete them eventually, but in order to avoid the hammer coming down next week, the recommendation is that you focus your efforts on the most recent 3 years worth of missing statements, and that should buy you some time. But reach out to us if you've got any concerns at all with this. So we're going to walk you through now how to lodge one of your outstanding statements, and then you just rinse and repeat if you've got multiple outstanding. So we are clicking on Lodge Now, and then if you chose the big red banner button, you probably won't get this slide, but if you chose Start a New Application rather than Lodge in that rusty red banner, you'll have a bonus screen, and it looks like this. So you need to drop down the application type and choose Information Statement from that list. Make sure it's Information Statement, which is the bottom one that we've got highlighted in green, and then hit the Go button. So again, some of you may get this screen and some of you may not, but this is a bonus screen if you went a different route to the same destination.
Karen, have you seen the message from Sharon about Pinjarra Senior High School just waiting to be approved?
So I can see some hands up as well. We don't have the ability to talk, but if you could pop it in the chat button, that the chat function, that would be excellent. Thank you. We are monitoring that closely, and Karen's keeping an eye on the back end, so please just pop your questions in there. So either way, you're going to land here on the Important Things to Know page, and you'll want to just choose the Go button to commence your lodgement. So I've got a highlight button pointing you to that Go button. We're going to move through that page now. So this is just a pause button here. We've got beautiful picture of Debbie at conference there.
Thank you so much for that one.
You're welcome. So the information that you're going to need to complete your AIS for each missing year is your school address or your P&C address. You're going to confirm your association category. We'll talk about that in the next slide. Confirm that you have at least 6 financial members. Confirm the date of your AGM. You may need to do a little work you may just have to do a little work to figure that out. the total revenue for that associated financial year. Again, we will help you figure that out and confirm whether you're ACNC registered, and we will show you how to check that as well. So that's all the information you need to know to be able to lodge this AIS. So let's walk through those individual questions together. I'm going to pause. Do we have any questions at this stage before we start the filling in of the AIS?
There aren't any in the chat.
Perfect. Please just keep going ahead and pop them in the chat if you do have any. So the first question is financial year. So this is going to be the last day of the missing financial year. So DMIRS will pre-fill that date, and I'd suggest you just accept that, take note of the year that you're doing and move on. For most P&Cs, it's going to be the 31st of December because most P&Cs follow, their financial year follows the calendar year. But for some P&Cs, it might be June the 30th, and a small handful of P&Cs are unique unicorns and they have a random date somewhere across the year. A cross-check isn't really required, but if you wanted to cross-check it, you'll find that information in your about what your financial year is in Rule 4 of your Constitution or your rules for your P&C. But again, DMIRS has already pre-filled the date. I would suggest just accept it and move on, as we will now. The next one is your current address. The physical address should now be your school address, not your personal address. So, so just pop in your school's address for that question. For the email address, I would use a generic central P&C email address that changes hands when office bearers change, but don't let that stop you putting in your AIS. Don't make perfect the enemy of the good. Just go ahead and put whatever email address in that you have access to and move forward through it. But again, at some point, it is always a good idea to have a generic email address that does change hands with your office bearers. So that is just, the current address just means your school address. Email address means your P&C email address. The address for the service of notice, I would just check the same box marked same as contact address as displayed above. I think I've written that down wrong, but yeah, just mimic the same address. That's question 3. For the association category, we just choose education. Since we've been started doing this form in 2016, we've always recommended just choosing education from this list, and DMIRS has found this to be an acceptable answer. So while there are other things that you could potentially pick, we would just suggest choosing education and moving on from that list. So the next question is around your members. You just need to confirm yes, that you have at least 6 voting members. And then you need to ensure that you've got the AGM associated with the year for this annual information statement. So for example, if your financial year ended on the 31st of December, obviously AGM wouldn't be until after that. So it should be in the first 4 months. If you got an extension from, it may be in the first 6 months, but it shouldn't be any longer than that. So if the financial year is ended on the 31st of December, then your AGM should be in the months following that. So again, this is just the confirming that you've got 6 voting members and then your AGM date for the financial year that you're putting in a statement for. So revenue, I think this is one of the stumbling blocks that's stopping people from hitting the submit button. So we thought we'd spend a little bit of time here and explain a little bit more. If you're following along here live, but you still need to go away and do a little bit of work around your revenue, just put $1 into that box so that you can keep following along with us. And then when we get to the last step of submitting, don't hit submit, but it'll save. You can go away and come back after you do the work, and it'll have saved your partial submission, and then you can go back and adjust what that revenue box is. So revenue is the total incoming monies received throughout the financial year. That's all it is. So the best thing to do is to look at your annual AGM. There would have been financials presented for that financial year. You can look at that profit and loss statement or the income and expenditure statement and look at any income that's coming through there. So it might include grant funding or operational income, trading income. It could be income from your canteen, income from your fete, lots of different areas. Any money that passes hands through you is considered revenue. Don't take off any expenditure. It's just the money that came in. So you might need to add up a few figures to come up with that total income. Make your best effort to get the figure correct, but given how close we are to the deadline, the more important thing is actually getting these submitted. So if you needed to, make your best effort, and then if you discovered that that figure is wrong at a later time, you can always go back to DMIRS and update the statement. But the more important thing is to actually get it submitted. Hope that clears things up, because I feel like that was the stumbling block for many of you. Again, just feel free to reach out to the office if you've got any questions about this whatsoever. We can help you figure this out. The next question is whether you're registered with the ACNC or not. So DMIRS is the state body, and then ACNC is sort of more of the federal or national body. So there is a register available for this, and there was a second link, Debbie. This is the second link. Where you look it up is at the ACNC. The link is acnc.gov.au/charity/charities, and you just search for your legal name, which is likely it's something like Parents and Citizens versus P&C. You could also, using my last, I used Bayswater Primary School earlier because that's my local, but you could just type Bayswater Primary School in there, and then it'll come up with Bayswater Primary School, Parents and Citizens, or whatever, if you are registered with the ACNC. It's possible you're not registered with the ACNC, and if you're not, and I think that might be a pretty big cohort of the people who are in this webinar or listening to this webinar, just be aware that you will have to register with the ACNC over the next few months in order to avoid paying income tax. But don't worry, it's a separate thing. We will hold your hand through that. It's not as scary as it sounds, and Karen will be supporting you every step of the way. So this is about whether you're registered with the ACNC. Just answer it as though as at your current date, and move on from there. The next one is document uploader, so that you can upload supporting documents. Just choose no. And the last one is a declaration that you're authorised to submit the statement. So I've pointed out there which what to choose, and then you just hit the next button. It's not quite submitting it, but it's almost. That's the declaration. And the last stage, you're going to get a very long screen of all of the things that you've just submitted for your association's information statement, and you can just run your eye over it and then hit the submit button. Now, if you've only put your dollar in there because you needed to put a placeholder and go back, don't hit submit now. But actually, if you followed along with us all the way, you can hit submit knowing that your information is correct and it is off your plate and you no longer have to do it. And I hope that's the case for a couple of you at least. Otherwise, you can come back and watch this. You can watch this video and watch the recording and come back to it. So, success. If you've got questions, we are always here. As you can see, it only took us half an hour from beginning to end. So I really think that it is actually the gathering of the information before you get here that might be the stumbling block. And also it's kind of a bit convoluted, creating your profile, connecting it, and then submitting your AIS. So hopefully this has blown the cobwebs off some of that and shone a light on the process. But we are always available. You can contact us via phone or via email. Karen is your go-to. She's our subject matter expert when it comes to DMIRS, so she can help you out with that. You can contact DMIRS directly as well if you would prefer. And also, you've still got a couple of days left to register for conference where you can come and see us in person. That's August 24th and 25th. There are a few final seats available. Can I just remind you that registrations close on the 7th of August. We would love to see you there. Amazing speakers. We usually have around 400 delegates from P&Cs, and you'll get to meet other people from P&Cs and share some of your successes and pain points and make some connections there. So I'm just going to throw open to any questions. Oh, you're very welcome.
Can I just jump?
You're very welcome, Nassim.
Can I just jump in for the sake of the recording? There's been a couple of things on the chat. One of the things is from Karen to say that she can only access and approve people if she's an authorised user on the, she can only do it if she's a primary user. So if Karen doesn't have that contact, then you need to contact either a former primary user or contact associations. The other thing is that on our CRM, we have the AGM dates, the financial years. We sometimes have financial records. So if people can't find that information, just contact us.
Please do. This is why we're here. Just pick up the phone and give us a call. we are happy to hang out a little further. I'm going to probably stop the recording now. Hey, can we do that without stopping the meeting? Yeah, I might stop the recording now just so people know it's only a half-hour recording, which is a nice chunk for people to complete their work in. But we are going to hang out for a little longer if anyone's got any questions or if they wanted to work through it themselves. Otherwise, you're free to go, and we will circulate this recording this afternoon as soon as it is saved locally. Thank you very much for your time this morning. I really appreciate you coming out at short notice and for everything you do in volunteering for your P&Cs and making it better for the kids of WA. Thanks, Melissa. Oh, you're very welcome. You're welcome.